Special Forces operators. What's the most unbelievable thing you've ever witnessed? Afghanistan, 2008. I was on a 12-man ODA team embedded in a remote valley. Place was a ghost town when we arrived. Locals had fled after Taliban executed the village elders. Our mission was simple. Establish presence, gather intel, build relationships with any remaining locals. Standard hearts and minds operation. Third night in, our translator spotted an old man approaching our position. Walking alone, no weapons, carrying a small cloth bundle. My team leader and I went to intercept him. The old man introduced himself as Mohammed, the village's former doctor. He'd been hiding in the mountains since the Taliban came. Said he had something important to show us. In his bundle was a locked metal box, badly rusted. Inside was a set of military dog tags, a lighter with U.S. Army insignia, and a sealed letter, all belonging to an American soldier named Thomas Reynolds. Mohammed told us Reynolds was part of a small Special Forces team that had operated in the same valley in 1985 during the Soviet occupation. Their helicopter crashed in the mountains. Reynolds was the only survivor. Mohammed had found him severely injured and brought him to the village, treated his wounds, hid him from Soviet patrols for months while he recovered. Reynolds knew he couldn't be extracted without risking the village. Radio communication was impossible through the mountains, so he made a decision to stay and fight alongside the Mujahideen against the Soviets. For 3 years, this American soldier lived in the village, learned the language, trained the locals, became one of them. Mohammed showed us cave systems Reynolds had helped fortify, the same ones now used by the Taliban. According to the old man, Reynolds was killed in 1988 during a Soviet offensive. Before he died, he wrote a letter to his family and gave Mohammed his dog tags, asking him to pass them to American forces if they ever returned to the valley. 20 years later, Mohammed was fulfilling that promise. The letter was sealed, addressed to Reynolds' parents in Nebraska. We ran the name through our database. Thomas Reynolds was listed as MIA, presumed dead when their helicopter went down in 85. No body ever recovered. We found photos of Reynolds hidden throughout the village, prayer rugs he'd used, Soviet weapons he'd captured. His legend was everywhere, but American records had no mention of his survival. Mohammed took us to Reynolds' grave, marked with a simple stone engraved with both English and Pashto writing. Villagers had protected it from the Taliban, reburying it every time they came through. We authenticated the dog tags and sent them along with the letter back to the States. Reynolds' mother was still alive, received her son's final words 23 years after he was declared dead. The most remarkable part? The current Taliban in the area were led by a man calling himself Thomas, the son of a local woman and allegedly the American soldier. He'd been fighting foreign troops his entire life, just like his father, but on the opposite side. Command didn't believe it at first, thought it was propaganda. DNA tests later confirmed it. The Taliban commander was half American, Reynolds' son. We adjusted our entire operational strategy for the region based on this discovery. Instead of direct confrontation, we opened dialogue through Mohammed, leveraged the American connection. Within weeks, fighting in the valley stopped. Reynolds' son agreed to cooperate against Al-Qaeda in exchange for development aid for the village. Our team's original 2-week mission turned into a year-long rebuilding project. I escorted Mohammed to the U.S. Embassy in Kabul, where he received a personal thank you from the Secretary of Defense for protecting Reynolds and preserving his memory. That valley is now one of the most stable regions in the province. Local schools are open, markets functioning, all because an American soldier chose to stay behind in 1985, and an Afghan doctor kept his promise decades later. Sometimes the most effective weapon isn't a gun or a bomb, but a story that connects people across generations. The kind of story that's too unlikely to be anything but true. When I retired, I visited Reynolds' hometown in Nebraska. His citation for the Silver Star is displayed in their local museum, alongside the lighter Mohammed had kept safe for so many years. The letter remains private, but his mother told me it gave her peace she never thought she'd find. In this business, we're trained to be skeptical, trust nothing, verify everything, but sometimes reality is more incredible than anything intelligence could fabricate.